Ballyhale are back into yet another All-Ireland final after a deserved 116-16 win over Ballygunner here at Croke Park. The World Cup might be going on elsewhere, but the people who came here were enthralled by this action. A fantastic first half, and unfortunately lost a little bit in Croke Park here because it was so empty, and you just thought, why not in a smaller provincial ground? It would have been brilliant. But Ballyhale Shamrocks certainly are the deserving winning team here. Colin Fennelly causing all sorts of trouble on the inside line, winning a penalty at one stage. The original one was saved brilliantly by Stephen O'Keefe from TJ Reid. A couple of minutes later, in the 49th minute, TJ was taken down by Shane O'Sullivan, and this time he blasted it low into the net. No stopping at that time for Stephen O'Keefe. And in such a tight game, something like that was always going to be decisive. At the start of the second half, Ballygunner looked like they were going to kick on from 11 points each at half time, but they missed their first three chances, and they were pretty scoreable too. Desi Hutchinson, Mikey Mahoney, and then a free from Porrick Mahoney. And just they left too many chances behind them early in that second half, because overall in the game, there was 33 chances created by Ballygunner, 32 by Ballyhale Shamrocks. So it was pretty tight overall. The one thing you'd have to say, though, is the goal chances were all very much on one side. Yes, there was one for Ballygunner, which they kind of forced on the 50th minute. Desi Hutchinson was soloing in from the sideline, and he took a shot from about 25 yards out that Dean Mason did well to get down and save, but you would expect him to save it at the same time. And that was the only time that Ballygunner looked anyway close to scoring a goal. On the flip side, Ballyhale had 8 goal chances that I counted over the course of the game. Adrian Mullen had one just coming up to the 10-minute mark. He had another one that was saved brilliantly from Stephen O'Keefe around 28th minute. And then Owen Keneally, he was soloing through and probably could have taken on a goal, but instead tapped it over off the stick. Second half then, Evan Shefflin soloed through after being fed by Owen Cody, and he had a goal attempt that was saved. Then, as I mentioned earlier, there was the first penalty that was won by Colin Fennelly. Obviously, that was saved, and then TJ won one just after. Late on, Ronan Corcoran, he had a goal chance, which was hooked brilliantly by Ronan Power. And then in injury time, as Ballygunner pushed up the pitch, Colin Fennelly did very well to steal a long ball that was coming between Stephen O'Keefe and Barry Coughlin, and he just turned it and tried to knock the ball into the net, but a defender got back. He didn't quite strike it hard enough. So it's very hard to say anything except it was full value for Ballyhale to win this game. And one of the key switches they had was switching Ronan Corcoran and Adrian Mullen. So Mullen was in the half-hour line. Ronan Corcoran, who's been out with a bit of injury this year, he was started midfield, and Conor Sheehan was absolutely running the show against him. But they made that switch, and I think Mullen completely tied down that midfield area in the second half. Very good as ever and very physical. TJ Reid very good on the place balls, obviously buried one of the 2 penalties and fed some nice ball into the inside line. On the other side, Porrick Mahoney, he was excellent at times. Got a couple from play and some frees as well. Desi Hutchinson got 3 from play, but they could have done with getting more ball into him. And he was brought out further out the field in the second half. And there was a couple of switches made, which, put the likes of Billy O'Keefe on the inside line along with Kevin Mahoney. But they could never quite get him behind because Richie Reid was always sweeping back. Joey Holan had an excellent game at full back. And at the other end of the field, Owen Cody, he was very good for Ballyhale, especially as the game went on. And he had a tough final last year. Ian Kenny did a great job in it, but a couple of moments in latter stages, catching puck outs, getting scores, getting fouled, easy ones then for TJ to knock over. And in a game where you win by putting up a score of 116, it's obviously very, very huge. And, considering that they met here in February, this would be a huge one for Ballyhale. The way they celebrated on the final whistle, you knew how much it meant to them. And even that they had a couple of injuries during the game. Early on, Darren Mullen went off and he pulled up with what looked like some sort of a leg muscle injury. They'll hope he's right for the final. Joey Cuddihy had to go off during the first half as well. So to absorb those blows and still go on and win this game, and without doubt be the better team. I mean, Ballygunner will certainly be kicking themselves, but they just didn't really convert, and they never got in behind to create those scoring chances. And some of the wides that they had in the latter stages of the game, Paddy Levy had a couple, Kevin Mahoney, he had one, and just they kind of tailed out towards the end of the game, and Ballygunner just showed that little bit of nous to see the game out. Sean O'Sullivan says, left themselves too much to do. Whatever happened to Porrick, he left the game, drift away. Well, I would say there's other players who were very, very quiet on the Ballygunner side. But it's All-Ireland final time for Ballyhale Shamrocks. Once again, they'll be meeting Dunloy of Antrim. They'll be huge, unbackable favourites at the far side of Christmas. Let me know your thoughts on this victory, but a great day for Ballyhale Shamrocks, atoning for the defeat against Ballygunner in February.